So let's see this video. This covers the basic concepts of EROEI.
We have a problem. Our civilization is built on the fleeting foundation of cheap and abundant energy. Without huge amounts of very cheap energy, we would be unable to maintain our society, our economy, or our food production. The energy humans used until just a few centuries ago was embodied in the food we ate and natural resources we used for clothing and shelter. We didn't have a separate supply of energy to power different tasks. But that changed in the 1700s, when we learned how to convert the energy in coal into power to be used for many different processes. Energy suddenly became progressively cheaper from when coal began to be used widely. Oil was a huge step beyond even coal in energy density, transportability, and flexibility of use. Oil became the superfuel. By the 1960s, oil was even cheaper and more flexible and had come into universal use. However, by the 1980s and 1990s, energy began to become more expensive as the richest and most productive oil fields began to reach the end of their best years. Now in 2017, humans are scouring the planet for energy and are exploiting increasingly marginal sources. The oil sands and fracked oil both require a great deal of machinery and energy to extract the end product, which used to gush so willingly from Middle Eastern and Texas oil fields. To illustrate the decline in productivity of the world's energy sources, consider the measurement called Energy Return on Energy Investment, or EROI for short. This measurement relates the energy input required to generate an energy output, resulting in the usable net energy, the energy that has actually become available to use in society. In the early days of the richest fields in the Middle East and West Texas, 1 barrel of oil would produce enough energy to find, drill for, and pump 100 barrels of oil for an EROI of 100 to 1 and an energy output of 99. Today, it takes much more energy to mine sticky sand and melt the oil out of them than it does to put a pipe into a large pool of oil and stand back as it gushes out of the ground, as it did in the earliest days of oil exploitation. And of course, when we use more energy to produce less energy, GHG emissions inevitably rise. In 2017, the EROI of the Alberta oil sands and tight or fracked oil has declined to approximately 5 to 1. Fracked oil and deep water oil also share an EROI of around 5 to 1. The worldwide EROI of oil is currently around 17 to 1 and falling. Biofuels are possibly not even energy positive, with EROIs at Canadian latitudes of between 0.7 to 1 and 1.4 to 1. Eventually, all of our energy will be renewable because the non-renewables, fossil fuels, will have been mined to the point where more energy will be required to extract what remains than the output provides. The EROI of wind generators is currently as high as 14 to 1. Solar PV arrays have a current EROI between 4 to 1 and 8 to 1. Human society will have to adapt to a much more expensive and less abundant energy going forward. Pursuing our current growth forever path would result in massive and repeated shocks to our economy and society. We need to both reduce our energy and resource consumption, stabilize our population, and transition to renewable energy much more quickly. Genuine progress is impossible without metrics which accurately represent the problem, making it critical that we stop measuring energy production through the fog of dollars and start measuring it in real terms of EROI and net energy. It's time for a change. Let's work towards a sustainable society, Canada. www.sustainablesociety.com.
So here is the list of energy resources of different EROEI. So first is oil, which is high productivity source, and EROEI is 30 to 100. Actually, it is quite variable because at that time when oil was discovered in 1950s, 1960s, we need very less amount of energy to extract that oil. But now the situation is changed because the sources of oil are decreasing, and due to that we need more amount of energy to extract that oil resources. So due to that EROI is decreasing, and because of it oil prices are increasing. And then hydroelectric, which is 45, which is good because in renewables hydroelectric has highest EROI. Then natural gas, which is 40. Oil unconventional sources, 15 unconventional sources like shale oil or like oil sands, etc. And oil sands are have less EROI, which is 5 to 10. Coal 25, nuclear 20, solar 5 to 20. Actually, the EROI of solar is increasing nowadays because due to research work is going in that field. Wind 4 to 10, sugarcane based alcohols 5 to 8, corn based alcohols 0.7 to 1.4, and hydrogen is negative. So these resources are renewables, yes, but they are not profitable. Like the EROI is very much less, so we have to give that much of energy to extract that, and that is the like large amount of energy to extract the resources, and we are getting less than that. So yeah, that they are not profitable. So let's move to the next topic in our discussion, which is politics in energy sector. Like some of you might have interest in politics, but some of you hate politics. So yeah, this is the basic politics. This is not like the that level of politics that is going on. But yeah, it is interesting. Just let's take a look at it. Like at least we should know basics about it. So let's start the topic. So the topic is how politics can affect energy sector. Actually, politics can affect in both way, like positive and negative. But how? So as we know, there are two parties in every government. First is ruling, second is opposing party, and like this is not followed by every constitution. Like in India, this is followed by our constitution. There is one ruling and there is opposing party. So positive impacts of politics in energy sector and negative impacts. So there are many impacts, like there are many positive and many negative impacts. I just listed down the possible impacts. So first is suppose ruling party is not in the favor of new technologies which are somewhat costly. Then due to pressure of opposing party, there is chance of the mind change of ruling party. This can actually happen. Like suppose due to some pressure, ruling party cannot install the new technologies, but opposing party and create pressure on ruling party to install new technologies in own country. And the negative impacts are very much, and they are more powerful than positive impacts. Like in negative impacts, first point is due to some industrialist pressure, political leaders are not able to install new technologies in their own country, and this has actually happened at the time in US at the time when EVs were coming, and this has actually happened. And second, due to opposing party pressure, ruling party could not install new technologies. So that is happened in our country in India at the time when computers were coming in India, and there was many like, disputes between opposing and ruling party. So let's look at some examples. These are the real life examples by the presidents of America and Russia, the most powerful countries in the world. So first is that how politics affects energy sector. This is example of how politics affects energy sector. First is Vladimir Putin, Russian president. He said in the Global Manufacturing and Industrialization Summit in Russia, Putin said that wind power is good, the turbines shake causing worms to come out of the soil. This is not a joke. So yeah, he was like the he was not a supporter of wind energy. So he was saying like that, but that is not actually true. We all know the benefits of wind and solar over the coal and petroleum. So yeah, the presidents are were speaking like this. So what can be happen in the future years? So second is Donald Trump, which is your who is US president. US President Donald Trump has been consistent critic of wind and renewable power, and it is the like the world known fact. He has criticized wind turbines for killing birds, causing cancer, lowering house prices by 75%, and being so intermittent you wouldn't be able to watch TV every day. Actually, these are true facts, but the possibility of that facts are really less. So, like causing cancer is the worst, like the worst scenario, and how I don't know how can it happen. And killing birds, yeah, it's true, but not exactly true. The killing birds is due to the windmills are rotating, and due to that, uh, like killing of birds can happen, but there is very much less possibility of that. And lowering house prices by 75%, it is actually exaggerated statement, and in Europe it's actually happened because, but it's the lowering house prices by 35% only in Europe. So it is exaggerated statement. And why there is lowering of house prices, it's because like there is some noise pollution due to that windmills and all. So the lands nearer to that windmill plant, like the price of that is decrease. So, but this is an exaggerated statement, and being so intermittent, you wouldn't be able to watch TV every day. This is also the very like exaggerated statement, and yeah, that's it. So these are politicians, and they are saying about renewables like this. So the Paris summit happened in the like in 2014, but there is no any like point chance to like the chance to decrease the carbon emission. So yeah, these are our politicians. So in last slide we saw how politics affects energy sector. So now we are going to see how energy sector affects politics. So these two different situations. So I'm taking example like of Southeastern Sea, and it is the very hot topic in the world now. And the Southeastern Sea is this is China, this is Philippines, Taiwan, Malaysia, Vietnam, and there is some Cold War going on nowadays, like between China, these 4 5 countries in Southeastern Sea, and also America is involved in it, also Australia involved in it. And yeah, this is the Cold War is going on, and the main reason that China wants, like China wants that Southeastern Sea, because China has to rule that Southeastern Sea because there are many oil and natural gas resources in it, and there's more chances to discover other resources. So there's the main reason, and this reason is related to energy. So yeah, this is how energy sector affects politics. And also there's another reason for China also, like the main reason is oil and natural gas resource, but the second reason is can trade very much easily, or building their own island and saying own rights on them. That's actually China has done in the last years. And in the pandemic situation, China is trading masks and related things through the sea, and great opportunity to create own place in South China Sea. The trade of China in this pandemic is increasing because all the trade of other countries are decreased due to this situation. China takes opportunity of this situation. And US, like why US wants this sea, because US doesn't want to that China becomes powerful, and they supported Philippines and South Vietnam. They already deployed navy in the ocean. And Australia, because two-thirds of Australia trade went from this Southeastern Sea, and also tourism is going on from that sea. So also Australia also is involved in this war. So yeah, this is the hot topic and also interesting. So like read about on Google. So this video
On
gives the
increasingly
glimpse of
troubled waters,
situation which is going
the
on
US
in
Navy's
Southeastern
putting
Sea.
on a show of
This is an
strength,
interesting video.
joining Australian warship HMAS Parramatta for military exercises through the South China Sea. Since the coronavirus pandemic began, China's rapid military build-up in this disputed region has continued unabated, with Beijing fortifying artificial reefs and confronting other nations who claim the territory as their own.
to the Chinese is a big opportunity for them to stake their claims in South China Sea and make it theirs once and for all.
The strategic region's also vital for oil supplies. More than 30% of global trade in maritime crude makes its way through here. Now Australia's spending almost $100 million to create a national strategic reserve.
We are going to take advantage of historically low fuel prices.
It's a very welcome first step after years of successive Australian government saying that there was no problem.
Security experts have long been warning Australia needs to bolster national oil supplies in case of a major crisis. Well, that's arrived, and so has the idea of a reserve. But it won't be stored here, instead kept in the United States.
Having something in the United States doesn't provide for our national interest to be protected in the way that it should.
Now the hunt is on for local storage solutions. Andrew Green, ABC News, Canberra.
So this is the last topic of our discussion is energy policies. Indian scenario, like there are different energy policies in different country. In Europe, energy policies are related to renewables. Norway, Denmark, Sweden, these countries are doing great in renewable energy sources. And like we are looking Indian scenario. So Niti Aayog is specially designed for energy policies and they ruled our energy politics. So energy policies in India, this is the basic map. Like there's Electricity Act 2003, which is basically to consolidate the laws relating to generation, transmission, distribution, trading, and use of electricity. And also that law is because to promote competition in the sector to ensure supply of electricity in all area. So competition is always good for any performing market. So yeah, Electricity Act 2003 is promoting the competition in electricity market. And Tariff Policy 2006. This is by Ministry of Power. This is about the percentage of energy purchase were made applicable for tariffs to be determined by the State of Electricity Regulating Commission. And there are many national policies for renewable power generation, which is this. And these are all like 5-year plan integrated energy policy. These are all related to renewable technology in our country, and they are like we don't have to go detail in them, but just we know the at least name and the year of that policies. So yeah, this is the conclusion slide, and it's actually useful. Like what we are concluding from this whole discussion on energy economics and politics. So what like this conclusion includes what we have to do, like what people can do for energy sector. So energy economics affects the overall economy and GDP of country. So it is actually related to GDP, and GDP is the, as you know, GDP is the like the factor that represents the growth of our country, growth of any country. So politics affects economics, and after all, effect affects overall development of nation. GDP also affects the development of nation. So in our democratic country, all that matters are we people of India. If we support that party who is willing to recruit emission and also supports good policies related to renewable resources, then the change can happen. Politics affects energy sector, and then we can possibly change our country energy resources into renewables. Yeah, like the Sweden, Germany, like some European country are really like appreciable because they are moving to renewables. Like the Germany choose to phase out the nuclear power plants and they are moving completely into renewables. So if they can do, we can also do, and we have a faith in ourselves and on our people. So we can also do, but just we need some good politics and good economics to ensure the renewable energy sources in our country are going good. and I hope it can go good in the latter years. So I'm concluding this presentation, and thank you for listening me, and thanks a lot.